Hello and welcome. I am your host of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Author Karen E. Osborne. I have 5 novels out. The latest is Justice for Emerson. I am so glad that you're here. This is a space for readers and writers to come together and talk about books. So today we have a very interesting guest. He does so many things. So his name is James Longmore, and he's a ghostwriter. Got to hear about that. Have to hear about that. And of course, and he's an author. He's a podcaster and a publisher. So, can't you see this is just going to be such a good conversation? Such a good conversation. Hey, James, welcome.
Hey, Karen. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Lovely to meet you.
I'm delighted to have you. So let's start with your writing journey. How far does that go? Is that something you always wanted to do and be since you were like in kindergarten or a primary?
Um, Absolutely, yeah. I mean, literally, I would say from the moment I learned to read aged 4, my mom taught me to read before I went to school. I mean, obviously, I grew up in England, as you can probably tell from the accent. And I just fell in love with the whole thing. I remember, because yes, I am that old. The 69, the moon landings, and all the kids that all wanted to be astronauts or policemen or firemen, and I can remember it clear as day. I wrote, I want to write books. So this was sort of age, by 5 or 6, this is what I wanted to do. And I've always kind of written and dabbled, and I always loved English at school because I got to write stories and all that sort of stuff. So I've kind of dabbled on and off, really over I guess always been involved in something creative. Then obviously life sort of happens, and I went through high school, went to university. I actually studied zoology at university. So by education, I'm a scientist, which is which is interesting in itself.
So yes, so let me just interrupt you there. So you're this English kid, English language kid. You're reading and writing at an early age. You knew you wanted to be a writer, and you ended up with a zoology degree. Like, how did that
Yeah.
happen?
Well, my other love is animals. Again, always been passionate. I have live in a house full of animals here. So it's always been a thing, and it was a toss up between doing English and English lit or zoology, and I'm glad I did it. I spent 3 years studying a subject that I thoroughly enjoyed. It still comes in useful today. Even it's just trivia and helping my daughter with her FFA projects. So it was great. But then obviously from there, career and etc. All that. So my career was in sales and marketing. I worked for Toyota. I found I could sell just almost by accident. I did a summer vacation job selling door to door carpet cleaning, of all things. And found I had a knack for selling, so I sort of gravitated into that. Did the whole career thing. Terrible at it, to be honest. The sales part, brilliant, marketing, great, but the whole being in the corporate environment and kissing up to the right people and all that. I'm the office politics, awful at it. So so I ran my own businesses for a while over in England, moved over to here, and that was really when I started writing in earnest. Again, back in England, I wrote some probably pretty awful stories, some pretty awful couple novels that obviously went nowhere. I did stand-up comedy actually, which was great, which again was a great way of exercising my creative muscle.
Yes, stand-up comedy.
That was fun. Obviously it was fun.
Yeah. Did
So
it come in handy with your writing?
Say again.
did it come in handy with your writing,
Oh,
being a
it did.
stand-up comedian?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because obviously I was working. I didn't have the time to sit and write novels, and so I could write comedy even because I was driving a lot, spent a lot of time in the car, so I could, so I was still using that creative part of my brain, which I needed, really needed to do. So it kept that going. In my writing now, the number of people that say, even because I write some pretty dark horror stuff, the number of reviews and people say, well, there's just that grain of humor going through everything, and I like because you use humor, and you see it in effect in the good horror films where you have that bit of humor, and then so you've got people almost off their guard, they're laughing at, and then you hit them hard with a nasty, and it just makes that jump even more exaggerated. So
Yes, actually, I wish that was something I was better at because I write really heavy books.
uh-huh.
I mean, there's, the poor protagonist is another bomb and another bomb and another bomb. And you need that little breathing room. You need that little, and humor
Yes.
is such a good way to let the reader breathe for a minute
Oh,
before you
exactly. Just helps to
dive
unwind
right
a
in.
little bit
So
because
what was the
people like to
first
laugh. And sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so what was your first published book or short stories or what came out first?
Oh my goodness! I mean, that was over here. My very first short story was published. It was a Greenpeace charity anthology, and I cannot remember how I got involved in that. I mean, this is going back probably. I've not been in the country. I've been in the country about 15 years now, so it's probably going back about 13 years maybe now. And I honestly, I don't know how I got involved, but I got invited to, and I wrote a short story for that. And that was exciting. That was like, obviously it was charity, but that was great. I was actually accepted and published. Then I published, got more short stories that scattered everywhere. There was one, Black Bedsheet Books. I think I did a great road trip bingo. Actually, it's in my collection. One of my favourites. Actually, I did another one, a werewolf one, for another anthology with another small publisher. Sadly, a lot of the small publishers sort of gone now. Black Bedsheet is still
Yeah.
going. Bosky and I still.
You have a small press, right? Hellbound Books. So
Hellbound Books, yeah. Mhm.
before we talk about that, I really am so interested in ghostwriting.
Okay.
So where on this writing journey, you're publishing your short stories, it's coming out. Like, how did that come about that you started ghostwriting?
It's a very cynical, uh, very cynical story actually. Because I was writing. I'd literally just started Hellbound Books with my co-owner, co-creator of Hellbound, Xtina Marie. Again, in her own right, a fabulous, fabulous poet. And again, long story short, we'd met with another publisher who turned out to be less than kosher, and that all fell apart. And she literally, but we should do this. You should. And I don't, I've owned businesses before. I don't own another business. So obviously that argument obviously didn't go my way. But she literally thought, and so we launched Hellbound Books, and literally with only a few months after that, my now ex-wife left, and she walked out and left me with the house being repossessed and two children to raise. So it was very much okay, right? Panic. I need to earn some money. Obviously, now I could get a proper job. Go back into the motor trade, which is where I know, or back into FMCG, whatever. Go back into what I knew that I could
Mhm.
do. But then I thought, well, hang on a minute. I've spent the last sort of 4 or 5 years writing and honing my writing craft. So what can I do with that? Did my homework and obviously came up with ghostwriting. So I applied to a couple of ghostwriting agencies, and they loved me to bits. One, sadly, again, not my fault. One, sadly, actually folded last year. They the original owner sold it, and the new owner thought it was going to be easy, and it's not.
Ah, ah.
The other agent, yeah, I'm still active with the other agency. Obviously, I have my own clients and what have you now. But so really, that's how it was a cynical. I need to earn money. So what I did, I was like, what skill set do I have? Well, I can write, and obviously as I developed, my publishing skills for Hellbound Books on formatting and cover design and all of that. I also sort of we created a sister company where people who want to publish their own book or they want help with getting the cover designed or editing or whatever, we can do all of that. So literally, it was a cynical money grab, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's stick with Hellbound Books for a minute. Um, so the publishing house, you do both. You help people who want to self-publish as well as you publish books under
No,
your name, or it's a
no, 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 no,
hybrid, or
no. No, it is two completely separate companies.
ah,
Because obviously Hellbound Books are a traditional independent publishing house. We do not charge anyone for anything we do. If we accept that, obviously we get submissions on a daily basis. We can't publish all of them, so we pick, and we obviously pick the ones we feel are going to be successful. We accept your book. We obviously editing and artwork and literally everything soup to nuts. We pay you royalties. Once the book is published on a quarterly basis, we pay royalties. So it's a traditional
a
publishing house.
traditional publishing house.
The,
Yes.
the sister company, again, completely different company. It's a different LLC. Obviously, I own the company, but so the two, and so we never. There's not that mix. There's not that confusion. Yeah.
Got it.
With the other company, it's called My Book Inside or mybookinside.com if you want to check it out. And we do everything from editing to artwork to audiobook to everything that, and again, we have clients who are ghostwriting as well. People come and say, well, can you ghostwrite a whatever novel or my memoir or what have you? And that is the completely separate side of the business.
Very interesting. Wow. So you're also, besides all of this,
I'm
you're
sorry, this
also
is well. So the other thing, yeah, I mean, you did say in the intro that I've got all this thing. But one thing I don't have is a personal life. I'm here. I've been raising my kids. My son flew the nest last year. He's 22, living not far from here actually. So he's doing his independent thing. My daughter is just turned 16, so I've got another couple of years before she's got her eyes on college. So it's literally it's work and trying to keep my daughter
and kids. Wow. Wow, wow. But you also have a podcast?
Well, we do. It's on hiatus at the moment because we were through Blog Talk Radio and they actually closed at the end of last
Mm,
year. So we are looking at.
mm.
It's actually Extina. That's her sort of realm. We're looking at alternatives to bring the new Panic Room back. But again, I mean, the podcast was going. It predates Hellbound Books actually. So the podcast
That's
is.
cool. It's very cool.
All the
So what,
shows are archived and what have you. But yeah, we will be back. We're just having a break because
little
we don't
break.
want to rush into something. We want to make sure we get the right platform.
Yeah. So a lot of authors,
Mm-hmm.
published and unpublished, watch this show. I wonder if you have any tips for them as a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do we put our best foot forward? What, so that a publisher like yourself would say, "Oh yes, I want to read more. I want to know more. I want to talk to you."
Okay, well, I would say first and foremost, read the website. Whether it's Hellbound or whichever publisher you're approaching, read the website. And this is the bit where normally I would get a bit sweary, but I'm on best behavior today. And we do literally on a daily basis. I had one yesterday. My science fiction fantasy novel will be a perfect fit for Hellbound Books. No, it won't. Where does it say on the website we do science fiction or young adult or kids books or romance? No, read the website. Then read our submission guidelines. We're not, what's the word? We're not Nazis over it, but read it, don't. We had somebody send their entire novel built into the body of their email.
Oh
I
boy.
ain't, I ain't gonna read that. Again, okay, if somebody wants to send a PDF for we asked for the first 50 pages, a synopsis. We had somebody who just sent a PDF, no cover, they just emailed it, and it's like, well, what am I going to? Again, it's not just me. We have a whole team. Obviously, we have Xtina, we have editors, we have people who look at the submissions, we have people work on the anthology. So we've got a big team, and we're all very, very busy. We're not, we are too busy to try and decipher. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, so yeah, I mean, just literally do your homework. It's 5 minutes, see what we want. Don't send it in a stupid font, make again, we edit, and if we ask you a little bit of formatting, again, we don't expect everybody to be red hot on all of that, because yeah, they're writing, but it's like, and I would say is know your craft. Yeah, know
Yes.
how to use Microsoft Word or Open Office or whatever. A Word is the industry standard. Yeah, Open Office is great because Word will open that. So know that. Don't. Oh, well, I don't know how to do paragraph or hard indents. Literally, it takes 2 seconds to either Google it, look it up. It's not difficult. Yeah, it's like, and I always say it's like saying, I'm going to be a car mechanic with a spoon. Know your craft. You need the toolkit. Yeah, you need the socket set at the very least. You can't do it with a spoon and a fork. You know what I mean?
That's
Um,
good. That's very, very good advice. It's really good. Check out the website, make sure you're
yep,
following all the guidelines, and don't even think about it until you've really studied your craft and gotten good at it. I
yeah.
love critique
I
groups. I
mean,
love
yeah.
beta
I mean,
readers.
it doesn't have to be, because I say we have some terrific editors. It doesn't have to be, edited. I mean, basic knowledge of punctuation is great, but we have people to do that, So don't get hung up on, oh, it's got to be professionally edited. No, we will do that for you, but we need to see that. And again, then with the book itself, yeah, okay, so you've done your homework, you've stuck to the guidelines. Again, those your first 3 to 5 pages have got to grab our attention, because we don't read the whole novel. There have been times I've got that engrossed, I've read the whole thing because this is wow, this is great. You've got it's like your sales pitch. It's like a movie. You go to see the movies, and what happens in the movie? The first few minutes, boom, it's all going on. That's what draws you in, and then the story starts. Yeah, think of a James Bond movie. Starts with a car chase or a fight, or just and you're into the movie, you're immersed in it. That's what we look for with the book. Because if it doesn't grab our attention those first few pages, it's not going to grab
Wherever
it.
readers.
And you see, most people, they do their book shopping on Amazon. What do you do? It shows you a look inside. It gives you the first few pages. That's your opportunity to grab them. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. This show is What Are You Reading? What are you writing? And it
okay.
sounds like you have no time to read at all because your life is so
Well,
crowded
funnily
and
enough, yes,
busy.
yes,
But
I do.
if you have some books to recommend,
I
one or two.
do. I've got a couple. It's funny enough. Again, I live in Houston. It's gone back to last summer now, about a year ago. Wow, when the power went out, and we had 7 days in 110-degree heat. No, but I now have a generator, so I'm not going through that again. But on the plus side, it gave me I couldn't work, so I've got books all over the house. So I grabbed a couple of books. I read late to the party, Richard Lehman. The number I heard is now, I've actually been compared to Richard Lehman. Sad, horrible person. Never read Richard Lehman, and I'm a big James Herbert fan, a big Clive Barker, all the usual people. And I read Island by Richard Lehman, which is phenomenal. If you like your horror in your face, pretty brutal, yeah. Flesh, again, very, very splatterpunk, very that sort of. So Richard Lehman, absolutely. I read actually. I'm going to throw that. It's my all-time favorite book. My daughter, about a month she had to pick a mentor, someone who to read a book with, either a teacher or so. Obviously, she picked me, and we read Alice in Wonderland. She'd never read it before. I haven't read it for quite some time. Again, if you haven't read Alice in Wonderland, people, read Alice in Wonderland. It is a wonderful, wonderful book, and it is a great exercise in not following the rules.
Mm.
It's just like, okay, she ate this and she grew, and it's just the whole thing. And spoiler alert, yeah, it was a dream, but again, it just as a writer, deconstruct it as a writer. And you can have those flights of fancy. Even no
Yes.
matter what you're writing, you can go off the rails a little bit, but it's still a good ABCDFG story, which is great. What I'm literally reading at the moment is Handmaid's Tale, because again, never read it. About time I read that, so that's my
You
restroom
said that
reading.
too fast. Could you say that again?
Sorry, Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale, yes.
Yes, again, really enjoying that. It's a great, obviously, dystopian
Yeah,
novel.
that's a scary book, isn't
It
it?
is.
Thought-provoking.
I think, given our current times in which we are
Yes.
living, it's as relevant now as it was before.
It is. It is.
Mhm.
Well, this has been so fun meeting you, James. I know our audience is loving this. And how can they be in touch? Well, how can they be in touch with you, find out more about you? Tell us about your website. I've been on it. It's a very nice website. How's the best way for them to be in contact and learn more about you and your books and your business?
Okay, my website is jameslongmore.com. It's got my books. It's actually got some of the short. You see some of the short movie I dabbled in, sort of independent short movies many years ago. So some of my short movies on there. Well, a couple of they're okay, to be honest. Hellbound Books is hellboundbooks.com or hellboundbookspublishing.com. If you're interested in the other side of our business, it's mybookinside.com. So between them, and again, if you want to contact me, my details are obviously on my website, on the Hellbound website. There's the email addresses for all of those. So. Oh,
Excellent.
and we are all over social. Google James H. Longmore or Hellbound Books. We're all over Google. We're all over social media. So we're difficult not to find, to be honest with you.
It'll be hard not to find you.
It,
All
it
right.
really, it really is. It's one of my daughter's favourite things to do at school. She said, here, Google me, Dad. Google me, Dad. And one there, I'm all over the place, which is great. So,
Well, I hope you all have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have.
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
hope that you are all sitting there saying, I have to find out more about James Longmore. So please reach out to him, look for him on social media, look for his website. When you do get in touch with him, tell him that you met him on what are you reading? What are you writing? I'll see you all next week. Thank you so much. And thank you, James.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you. Bye
bye,
bye.
everybody.